My heels are killing me, I whispered, smiling through my teeth as I adjusted the strap of my black silk gown. The crowd was loud, laughing, clinking glasses, and dancing to the DJ's carefully curated playlist. Rose gold balloons hung from the arch near the cake. Everyone looked like a magazine cover. Perfect. But I didn't feel perfect.
Not tonight.
Not in this dress. Not in this house that used to be mine too. Emily, my mom shouted across the room. Come here, honey. We need pictures. I nodded, pushing through a few familiar faces, nodding at fake smiles. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. The engagement party was in full swing, and my sister, Madison, had made sure it looked expensive, like something she could shove in my face. That was her way. Everything had to be a statement. And tonight, her statement was, I won. The house, the guests, the diamonds, the smile. And me? I was just the forgotten older sister who married too young and left too soon. I felt someone gently touch my elbow. It was Eric, my husband. His brows were pulled low, and his mouth was tight. He leaned into my ear. Don't eat anything. I blinked. What? His grip tightened slightly. Don't eat anything here. I mean it, Emily. My heart skipped. What are you talking about? Eric glanced around, eyes scanning the crowd like he was watching a crime scene unfold. Then he leaned in again. She's here, he said quietly. One name. Just one. And I knew. He didn't have to say it again. The sound of her name, even whispered, hit me like cold water down my spine. Rachel. I took a step back, my breath hitching in my throat. Wait, what? Here? Are you sure? He nodded once. I saw her talking to your dad in the hallway 5 minutes ago. She's not on the guest list, Emily. Someone brought her in. And she's wearing staff clothes. My pulse thundered. Rachel. The name that should have been buried with the past. The girl I thought we'd all forgotten. But clearly, someone hadn't. And I suddenly understood why he told me not to eat. Just 6 years ago, Rachel Porter was my best friend. We were inseparable until the night she vanished without warning. She disappeared after Madison's birthday party. And 2 weeks later, rumors started. About me. That I'd stolen Rachel's boyfriend. That I had replaced her. Then Rachel reappeared, sending threats from fake numbers. She said I took everything from her. She said she'd take it back. I looked around again, but now the celebration felt off, too polished, too rehearsed. Everyone was so focused on looking good, they didn't see the storm quietly walking among them. Eric pulled me into a corner, out of view. I don't know what her plan is, he said low. But if she's here, it's not by accident. And I don't trust the food. She could have done anything. Who let her in? I don't know. But your sister was talking to someone earlier, sounded like a vendor. Of course. Madison. She'd do anything to make my night uncomfortable. Even if she didn't know who Rachel was, she loved inviting chaos and calling it fun. I stepped away from Eric and walked slowly toward the buffet, not to eat, just to observe. A woman in a crisp white catering uniform was standing by the drinks. Her back was to me, but something in my gut twisted. She turned slightly, and my breath caught. It was her. 6 years older, face leaner, hair darker, but unmistakably Rachel. She looked right at me and smiled. Like we were old friends. Then she disappeared into the back. I ran my fingers over the edge of the champagne glass I hadn't touched. My hand was shaking, and I couldn't stop it. Eric leaned on the table beside me. We should go. No, I said quietly. Not yet. Emily. She's not just here to scare me, Eric. She's here to do something. And if she is, I need to know what it is. A server passed by with a tray of golden appetizers. My eyes followed the tray across the room, right into Madison's hands. She took one, bit it,
laughed.
My stomach dropped. Eric, I said. I think it's already started. Madison just ate it, I whispered, my voice barely audible as the crowd laughed around us. Eric straightened instantly. You sure? I nodded slowly, the sight of my sister licking her fingers still fresh in my mind. Okay, he muttered, already pulling out his phone. I'm calling 911. Wait. I grabbed his hand.
No.
Not yet. Emily, are you serious? What if she... I need proof. If we call the police without knowing what she did, Rachel walks away clean. Again. His jaw clenched. And what if we wait too long? I didn't answer. Because deep down, I didn't know. I just knew this wasn't random. Not with Rachel. Not after what she took from me all those years ago. 6 years back, Rachel and I had planned to move to Chicago together. She'd gotten an internship, I had savings. We were going to chase our dreams. Then she ghosted me. No note. No call. No goodbye. Just gone. A week later, she messaged me from a blocked number. You stole him. You'll pay. I'm going to make sure you never eat in peace again. At first, I thought she meant heartbreak. But then my car brakes failed. Then my dog went missing. Then someone broke into my old apartment and left nothing but empty pill bottles in the sink. I told the police. They said I had no proof. I told my family. They said I was paranoid. And Rachel? She went silent.
Disappeared. Until now.
Eric was tense beside me. We need to move fast, Em. If there's something in the food. Let's go to the kitchen, I said, interrupting him. His eyes widened. What? She's not going to leave anything behind. But if she brought it in, maybe we catch her in the act. I stepped away before he could argue. I walked fast but calm, like someone who had to fix a hair emergency or grab a charger. In truth, I was walking toward the flames. The catering door was half shut. Music thumped behind us. Inside, I heard a few murmured voices, staff talking. But one voice was different. It was her. Rachel. I paused just outside the door. Eric caught up to me silently, his hand finding mine. Just enough to make them panic, she was saying, her voice sharp and low. Not to kill. I'm not a monster. You lace the shrimp? A male voice asked. A pause. I just needed her to remember me, Rachel said coldly. That's all. She forgot I exist. And now I'll be the last thing she tastes tonight. Eric moved, but I squeezed his hand hard. Not yet. Do they know you're here? The guy asked. Who cares? She scoffed. She's married to him now.
She won.
But I still want her to feel like prey. Just for once. I let go of Eric's hand and pushed open the door. Rachel was holding a tray, her gloved fingers tightening around the silver edges. The guy, another staff member, froze. Her eyes met mine. And for a second, she didn't flinch. She smiled. Emily. I was just thinking about you. Eric stepped in behind me, his phone recording from his pocket. I didn't blink. Why are you here? Rachel set down the tray slowly. To congratulate your sister, of course. Cut the crap. You tried to poison someone. Did I? Her tone was mocking, airy. That's a serious accusation. We heard everything, Eric said, his voice sharp. Every word. Rachel turned to him with a soft laugh. You think a recording will help you? You think anyone will believe the golden child was almost poisoned on her special night? She stepped closer, her face now inches from mine. You ruined my life, Emily. I didn't take him from you. He chose me.
No, she hissed.
You stole him. After everything we shared, after everything I gave you, you let him fall in love with you. And then you married him. Eric tensed beside me. He was never yours, I said, slowly. You treated him like a backup plan. I didn't steal anything. You think that matters?
Her voice was rising.
You think facts matter when the world already chose you over me? When your family turned me away, when your mother said, you were never meant to be in our house? My breath caught. My mom said that? Rachel smiled, cruel and triumphant. You didn't know? Of course not. Your family made sure you were shielded from everything ugly. I stared at her, trying to reconcile the girl I once loved as a sister with this stranger in front of me. I wanted you to feel what I felt, she whispered.
Not death.
Just fear. Just a little payback. That's when the kitchen door slammed open again, and Madison walked in. Madison stood in the doorway, blinking between us, the smell of appetizers clinging to her sequin dress. What's going on? She asked, frowning. Rachel didn't miss a beat. She smiled sweetly, like a perfect guest. I was just catching up with your sister, she said, her tone smooth as silk. It's been a while. Madison looked confused, then annoyed. Who are you? I opened my mouth, but Rachel stepped forward first. Rachel Porter, Emily's old friend. She extended her hand like this was a polite reunion. Madison didn't take it. You're not on the guest list. Rachel tilted her head. No, but I helped one of the vendors who was short-staffed. A last-minute favor. A favor. Madison scoffed. You crashed my engagement. She laced the shrimp, I said flatly. Madison blinked again. What? Eric stepped up. We heard her. She's not here to celebrate. She admitted it. Rachel shrugged, looking unbothered. No one's sick. No one's dead. Just a little drama, right? That's what this family thrives on. Are you insane? Madison snapped. You could go to jail for this. Rachel's gaze hardened. Wouldn't be the first time someone in this family sent someone away. Eric pulled out his phone. I recorded the whole thing. That made Rachel flinch. You wouldn't, she said sharply. Oh, we would, I replied. The kitchen door opened again. This time, it was my father. What's going on in here? Everyone's asking where you went. He stopped cold when he saw Rachel. His face changed instantly. Dad, I said slowly, do you know her? He hesitated. Dad. Rachel stepped forward again, fire now in her voice. Tell her, Mr. Lawson. Tell your perfect daughter what you told me 6 years ago. About how I wasn't clean enough to marry into this family. About how I was trash. My heart dropped. You said that. I asked him. He didn't answer. He just looked down. And in that moment, I knew the truth. Rachel laughed once, bitter and loud. There it is. He never planned to tell you. None of them did. Rachel, I started. I was in love with him, Emily. I was in love. But your father made it clear. Either I walk away quietly or I'd regret it. And I did walk. But not before he told me I'd never be welcome at your wedding. That I'd never be one of you. Eric stepped protectively closer. You still don't get to poison people. I didn't poison anyone, Rachel spat. It was one tray. A scare. That's all. But the way you all react to me now, like I'm evil, it proves it. I never had a chance with any of you. Security stepped in behind her then. Someone must have called them. She didn't fight. She just looked at me one last time. You won, she said softly. But not because you deserved it. And then she let them lead her out. The room was silent when we returned. Madison looked shaken. My mother looked pale. And my father? He avoided my eyes. I didn't need to say anything. Because now I knew who they really were. And Rachel? She was right about one thing. They had never planned to tell me the truth. Back at the party, the music had stopped. Guests were murmuring, confused. Madison's fiancé was trying to get people to dance again, but the energy was gone. Something in the air had shifted. Eric squeezed my hand. You okay? I nodded, though I didn't feel okay. I felt betrayed. And not just by Rachel. I turned toward my parents. I need to talk to both of you.
Now.
They followed me into the hallway near the coat closet. Madison trailed behind, arms crossed. I want the truth, I said. All of it. My dad rubbed his temple. Emily, this isn't the time. Dad. My voice was sharp. Why did Rachel say those things? Why did you threaten her? My mom looked down, then cleared her throat. It was complicated. She wasn't stable. We thought she might hurt you. No, I said. She wasn't unstable. She was hurt. And you made it worse. My father's jaw tightened. She wasn't right for this family. What does that even mean? I snapped. Her family had a history, he said quietly. Her dad had been arrested. Her brother had a record. It wasn't personal. It wasn't personal? I laughed bitterly. You manipulated her out of my life like she was trash. She didn't belong, he muttered. Eric stepped forward. So you thought threatening her would make her disappear forever? She was obsessed, my dad shouted. You think we wanted to hurt her? We were protecting you. No, I said calmly. You were protecting your image. My mother finally spoke. We didn't know she'd come back. We thought she'd move on. Well, she didn't, I replied. And now this party, this entire family, is a mess because of it. Madison spoke up then, voice cold. Why didn't you tell me any of this? I invited vendors. I brought her in. My mom turned to her. You did what? I didn't know who she was. Madison shouted. I just thought she was some helper. She begged for a spot on the kitchen crew. I didn't care. I was stressed. Do you realize what could have happened? Eric snapped. You let a stranger into your event without checking anything. Madison rolled her eyes. Relax. No one died. No, I said slowly, but someone almost did. Madison's face changed. What? I looked directly at her. Have you checked on your fiancé lately? She blinked. What are you talking about? Where is he, Maddie? She glanced around, realizing he wasn't in sight. Her voice dropped. He was feeling sick earlier. Said he had a headache. My eyes locked with Eric's. The shrimp, I said. Madison ran. We found him slumped in the guest bedroom.
Sweaty. Pale.
Breathing, but barely. Eric called an ambulance. No hesitation this time. When the paramedics arrived, they said it looked like foodborne contamination. No one else had eaten the shrimp. Just him. As they wheeled him out, Madison stared in silence, hand over her mouth. She meant to scare me, I whispered. But someone else paid for it. 2 hours later, we sat at the hospital. The doctor came out and told us he'd be okay. But something else happened. Madison sat down next to me, face hollow. You know, she said quietly, you were always the strong one. I mocked you because I was jealous. I looked at her, shocked. She continued, I saw how you held things together. I wanted that. But instead, I pushed you away and kept trying to outshine you. There was no pride in her voice now. Just pain. I'm sorry, she whispered. And for the first time in years, I believed her. 3 days later, we sat in a quiet courtroom. Rachel was being formally charged, not just for the tainted food, but also for trespassing and endangerment. My statement, along with Eric's recording, sealed it. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired. As she was led away, she looked at me, no fire this time. Just eyes full of history and unfinished grief. You could have told me the truth, she said softly. I didn't know it myself, I replied. And that was true. Back home, things changed. Madison delayed the wedding. Her fiancé was still recovering, but he'd survive. They were quiet now, no more flashy posts, no more family group chats, showing off diamond rings. My parents? They tiptoed around me, like they weren't sure who I had become. And maybe neither was I. Because something had shifted. For years, I let them define me. Kept the peace. Bit my tongue. Smiled when I wanted to scream. But not anymore. I sat them down one evening, just the 4 of us. Eric stayed in the kitchen, letting me speak alone. I need you to hear me, I began. You taught me to hide things. To protect appearances. But I'm done. My father said nothing. My mother blinked fast, trying not to cry. You let Rachel walk away. You lied to me for years. And you justified it by saying it was to protect me. That's not love. That's control. My mother opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying this so I can heal. My voice didn't shake. I'll still be in your lives. But I won't pretend anymore. I won't protect your secrets. I won't make myself smaller to keep you comfortable. My dad looked down. My mom finally nodded. We were wrong, she said quietly. All of it. It wasn't everything. But it was a start. Later that night, I stood on the porch with Eric. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded slowly. For the first time in years. "I think I'm becoming okay." He wrapped his arms around me. "You were incredible through all of this, Em. You didn't just survive, you saw everything clearly, even when it hurt." I looked at the sky. Quiet.
Dark.
Wide open. "Rachel tried to poison me," I whispered. But the real poison was in the lies. Eric kissed my forehead. "And now?" he asked. I smiled.
"Now I live."
Loudly. Honestly. No more silence. No more masks. And as I watched the stars that night, I realized the most dangerous truths aren't the ones whispered at parties. They're the ones buried in families, passed down like heirlooms, hidden behind smiles. But I had finally unearthed mine. And I would never let anyone bury me again. "So, how's the convertible I sent you?" Grandpa asked, smiling in front of everyone. I froze, then replied, "I never got a car." My parents stood up to leave, but Grandpa already knew, and what he said next changed everything. "My name is Brielle Lane, I'm 24, and I never liked family reunions. Not because I hated anyone, no, it was more subtle than that. I hated how everyone wore smiles like masks, how secrets floated just beneath the surface, how my parents always pretended we were picture-perfect, when in truth, I felt more like the hidden smudge on a polished family portrait. This year's reunion was different. Bigger. Louder. My grandfather's 82nd birthday. He was the only reason I came. The air was thick with barbecue smoke, perfume, and too many shallow compliments. Kids ran barefoot on the lawn of Grandpa's estate in Westport, Connecticut, while adults sipped cocktails and compared renovations. I stood under the oak tree at the edge of the backyard, alone but pretending not to be. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us, what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. That's when Grandpa Franklin waved me over. His white fedora shaded his tired but sharp blue eyes. People always said he was old school. I called him observant. He had a way of cutting through lies like a hot knife through butter. "Brielle," he said warmly, "come sit by me." I approached, nerves knotting in my stomach. My mom and dad were just a few feet away, laughing with my uncle near the gazebo. As I sat beside Grandpa, his hand gently patted my shoulder. "So, how's the convertible I sent you last month?" he asked with a smile. Everything stopped. The laughter, the music, even the breeze. It all became background noise to my pounding heart. I blinked, trying to piece together what he meant. A convertible? Sent to me? I swallowed hard. I never got a car, Grandpa," I said slowly. His smile faded. A long pause settled between us. Behind me, I heard the shift of feet. My father, Martin Lane, stood up. My mother, Rebecca, followed him. Neither of them said a word, but their faces paled. Grandpa didn't look at them. He just kept his eyes locked on mine. "You sure?" he asked gently. "I would have remembered getting a convertible," I replied, trying to smile. But I was shaking. "Are you saying you sent me a car?" He didn't answer that. Instead, he stood up, slowly, and turned to face the crowd, clinking his cane against his glass of bourbon. "Can I get everyone's attention?" The chatter died instantly. The entire family turned toward the old man in the white hat, standing next to me, and I had no idea what was about to happen. But my gut told me it was going to be bad. "For someone," Grandpa's voice rang out, clear and heavy. "A month ago, I ordered a brand new pearl white convertible for my granddaughter Brielle. It was supposed to be delivered to her address, her real address, the one she gave me." He paused. "But it turns out it never made it there." Gasps spread. Heads turned. Murmurs started. My father coughed. "Dad, maybe there was a mix-up with shipping. I checked the delivery records this morning," Grandpa interrupted. "The car was signed for. By Martin Lane. You used your own address, didn't you, son?" Everyone stared. Mom reached for Dad's hand, squeezing it tightly, but he pulled away. I was going to surprise her, Dad mumbled. I didn't want to just hand her a sports car. She's young, she's reckless. I also sent her a $10,000 graduation gift last year, Grandpa said, cutting through the lie again. Funny thing, she told me she never saw a penny of it. Mom's face flushed red. You're misunderstanding. No, I'm finally understanding, Grandpa snapped. The weight of his words dropped like stones. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The realization hit me harder than I expected. My parents had been stealing from me, lying, covering up, all while smiling at me like I was the lucky one for getting a roof over my head. I want everyone to hear this, Grandpa said louder now. For years, I sent money, gifts, and opportunities to Brielle. And somehow, she got none of them. Dad, my father tried again, his voice shaking. You don't understand the kind of pressure we've been under. I understand betrayal, Grandpa said coldly. That's enough. Then he turned to me and placed a small velvet box in my palm. This should have been yours a year ago, he said. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a car key, sleek silver, engraved with the initials BL. I had a feeling something wasn't right when you didn't call to thank me, he said. So I started watching, listening.
And now?
I'm done pretending. He looked at the rest of the family. From this moment on, Brielle is no longer under anyone's control, especially not Martin or Rebecca. She'll have her own house, her own car, her own bank account. I'm putting her name on everything you thought was yours, because I finally see who deserves it. The silence was volcanic. Mom covered her mouth. Dad's fists curled. My brother Cameron took a slow step back, wide-eyed. And I just stood there, not victorious, just stunned, shaking. Because when someone spends their whole life trying to make you small, the moment someone hands you power, it doesn't feel real. It feels terrifying. But then Grandpa squeezed my hand again. You've always been my pride, he whispered. They just never let you know it. I didn't cry. I felt like it. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep inside me, something had shifted. Something that wouldn't go back to the way it was. This wasn't just a family reunion anymore. This was a reckoning. And it had only just begun. The family didn't know where to look. Some stared at Grandpa in disbelief. Others stared at my parents like they were strangers. But me? I couldn't stop staring at the box in my hand. That small velvet box. With the key that should have been mine. A year ago, the moment shattered whatever illusions had been holding the family together. I didn't take anything, Dad blurted suddenly, eyes darting around like he was cornered. I was just holding on to it. We were waiting for the right moment to give it to her. You know how dramatic Brielle can be. Martin, Grandpa said, his tone cold, you've had every right moment for years. And instead, you took everything from her. Dad, come on, this is a misunderstanding. It's not, I said quietly. My voice surprised even me, but it was steady now. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I stepped forward, just enough to make them flinch. You kept the car. You kept the money. You never even told me Grandpa sent anything. Mom's lips tightened. We were trying to protect you. I laughed, short, bitter. From what? Independence? Success? She stepped forward, voice lowered like she was trying to control the damage. We raised you, gave you everything. You don't get to turn on us now just because he handed you a key. Rebecca, Grandpa warned, don't. But she didn't stop. You think the rest of this family is going to just hand over respect to some girl who barely finished college and waits tables for a living? You've always been ungrateful. The words stung. Not because they were true, but because they were familiar. Words I'd heard in whispers behind closed doors. On days when I came home too tired to talk. On holidays when my brother's new job or my cousin's internship was celebrated, and I was handed the salad bowl and told to stay humble. But now the curtain was gone. And their voices? Unmasked. She doesn't owe you a thing, Grandpa said sharply. And if I hear one more word of that tone, you'll be the ones looking for a new roof. Everyone froze. My dad's face darkened. You can't just disown your own son. I can do whatever I want with what's mine, Grandpa snapped. And if protecting Brielle means cutting off the people who exploited her, then yes, I'll do exactly that. The tension was unbearable. My cousin, Trina, shifted uncomfortably, whispering to her husband. My aunt stepped forward, trying to calm Grandpa down, but he raised a hand and stopped her cold. Everyone always talks about family loyalty, Grandpa said. But nobody talks about loyalty to truth. Loyalty to character. I gave Martin and Rebecca chances for years. And now it ends. He looked back at me. You don't have to fight anymore, sweetheart. You're free now. I blinked. The word free echoed in my ears. But freedom felt strange when you'd spent your whole life tiptoeing around people who used love as currency. My father stood stiff, jaw clenched. My mom had tears in her eyes, but not the kind that meant regret. The kind that meant exposure. They'd been caught. They weren't sad. They were ashamed to be found out. I'm moving out, I said, voice calm. Today. Where will you go? My mother asked, her voice rising. You don't have a job that pays enough for rent. Grandpa smiled. She'll be staying at the summer house on Hollow Creek, he said. And next month, she starts work with my legal team as an assistant manager. Full benefits. Real salary. Company car. That wasn't just support. That was belief. And it came without strings. I looked at my parents for the last time that day. My dad's face was unreadable. My mom's mouth opened, but no words came. For the first time in my life, I saw them not as parents, but as people who'd failed me. And the difference changed everything. The sun had begun to set behind Grandpa's estate, casting long shadows over the backyard. The reunion kept going, but quieter now. People whispered, looked away when I passed, unsure whether to avoid eye contact or offer sympathy. Grandpa and I stood near the porch while my convertible, rolled up the driveway, flatbed delivered, polished to a blinding shine. I stared at it, and, for the first time, I wasn't just in shock. I was furious. Years. They took years from me. Opportunities. Confidence. Even my sense of worth. And all this time, they had pocketed my life. You all right? Grandpa asked gently. No, I said honestly. But I think I'm finally seeing clearly. He nodded. You've always had strength, Brielle, he said. You just didn't have space to use it. I didn't know what to say. My throat ached. So I nodded back, eyes fixed on the house. That house, the one I was raised in, was filled with everything but love. The rules were always clear. Cameron, my older brother, was the golden child. I was the late bloomer, the soft one, the girl who didn't need much. It wasn't just the car or the money. They never gave me encouragement. They gave me expectations. Control. Guilt. And they called it parenting. As I packed my small bag from the guest room later that evening, Cameron knocked once and stepped in without waiting. You really going through with this? I zipped my duffel. Going through with what? Taking back what was mine. He rolled his eyes. You know, Mom and Dad didn't mean harm. They kept a car meant for me and signed for it like it was theirs. He crossed his arms. You don't have the spine to live on your own, Brielle. You'll come crawling back in 6 months, begging for help. You were always the charity case. Something broke in me. I stood straighter than I ever had. You know what's funny? I said slowly. You always acted like I was a burden. But you know what I see now? You were just terrified I'd stop being easy to ignore. That I'd stop apologizing for taking up space. His smug expression flickered. For a second, just a second, I saw it. Fear. Not of me, but of the truth. You weren't better than me, Cam, I added. You were just louder. They were just more invested in your success. And I was just waiting to be useful. He scoffed. You're emotional. No, I said, voice calm. I'm finally awake. I slung the bag over my shoulder and brushed past him, out of the room, out of the hallway, and toward the front of the house. Grandpa stood at the door, keys in hand. He didn't say anything, just handed them over. And with that, I walked out, not just of the house, but of the role they'd written for me. That night, as I drove the convertible toward the Hollow Creek house, the road stretched ahead like a second chance. And for the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of the destination. Because I was the one choosing it. The Hollow Creek house sat on the edge of the lake like it had been waiting for me. Sunlight spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows as I stepped inside, and for a moment, I just stood there, stunned. Polished oak floors. Clean white walls. A soft leather couch facing the water. It was everything my parents said I could never have. Too modern. Too expensive. Too much for someone like me.
But now it was mine.
Grandpa had left a note on the counter. Brielle, this house is not a gift. It's a reset. Make it yours. Franklin. I smiled, the first real one in days. By the next afternoon, my phone buzzed nonstop. 17 missed calls. 32 texts. Mostly from Mom. I didn't answer. That evening, one came from Cameron. This is going too far. You made your point. Come home. I stared at it, then typed one word.
No.
Because it wasn't about making a point. It was about reclaiming myself. That week, I began working under Grandpa's legal team. They didn't treat me like a charity case. They trained me hard, pushed me,
Corrected me.
but they also listened. And when I spoke, I was heard. No eye rolls. No scoffs. No, are you sure you can handle this? I found myself staying late, asking questions, learning contracts and case files like they were puzzles made just for me. For the first time, I felt sharp, like I had purpose. One night after work, as I sat by the lake, my phone rang. It was my mom. I let it ring, then answered. Brielle? Her voice was soft.
Too soft.
I'm here, I said. She exhaled. Honey, we're family. We don't let one bad moment tear us apart. One, I repeated. It wasn't one moment. It was a pattern.
We didn't know how to support you, she said.
You always seemed like you didn't need much. That's because when I did need something, I got shamed for it. Silence. Then, your father's not doing well. He hasn't slept. Your brother barely talks to us. We miss you. I took a breath. I'm not coming back, I said. Not to the same version of me that tolerated everything. Are you trying to punish us?
No.
I'm trying to heal from you. Her voice cracked. That's cruel. No, I said softly. What you did was cruel. This is me setting a boundary. And for once, she had nothing to say. We hung up in silence. But I wasn't angry. I was done. Not bitter. Just finished. That night, I wrote in a new journal I'd bought just days ago. A single sentence. Sometimes, the only way to grow is to walk away from the soil that kept you small. And I finally felt something I hadn't felt in years.
Peace.
Weeks passed. The lake turned golden in the mornings, the breeze shifting cooler as fall approached. I started decorating the Hollow Creek house little by little. Warm throws, plants by the windows, second-hand books filling the shelves. Every choice was mine. No one told me it was too much. No one made me feel like I didn't deserve it. At work, I thrived. What started as an assistant position quickly turned into more. Grandpa's partners noticed I had an eye for detail, contracts, clause loops, financial fine print. I handled difficult clients with quiet confidence, and after just 5 weeks, I was offered a junior analyst role. I accepted without hesitation. I didn't tell my parents, because now I didn't need their approval to move forward. But life, of course, has its timing. One Saturday afternoon, while I was on a video call reviewing case notes, my doorbell rang. I opened it and froze. It was my father, worn out, shoulders hunched, holding a worn leather folder. I thought about calling, he said. But I figured you'd hang up. You figured right, I said, calm. He looked around, as if seeing the life I'd built for the first time. The house.
The view. Me.
You've done well. Better than you expected? I asked flatly. He winced. I didn't come to fight, just to explain. I don't need explanations, I said. I needed protection. Support. You were supposed to give that freely. Not when it was convenient. He hesitated, then opened the folder and handed it to me. Inside were printouts, bank transfers, photos of packages addressed to me, and proof of every gift Grandpa had sent over the years.
It was all real, he said.
You were right. We took them. We used the money to pay off Cameron's loans, to fix the roof, to cover expenses. We told ourselves you didn't need it as much. I stared at the papers. Years of betrayal printed in black and white. But the worst part, he continued, his voice cracking, we started believing the lie we told you, that you were less than, that you didn't have what it takes. And we crushed your spirit to keep that illusion alive. He looked up at me, eyes watery. I'm sorry. I said nothing, because apologies don't erase patterns. But after a long pause, I handed the papers back. That truth isn't for me anymore. It's yours. You get to carry it now. Do you hate us? No, I said quietly. I outgrew needing you to be different. He nodded slowly, then turned to leave. But before he reached his car, I spoke again. One more thing. He looked back. I used to think love meant loyalty, even if it hurt, I said. But now I know real love never asks you to shrink. He nodded once, then left. That night, I stood on the back porch, watching the moon ripple across the lake. My phone buzzed. A text from Grandpa. You did good today. You stood tall. I'm proud of you, kid. I smiled. This wasn't revenge. This was rebirth. The girl who once shrank herself to fit their definition of enough? She was gone. And the woman who replaced her? She was just getting started. Let them watch. Let them regret. Let them remember the day I walked away. Because I wasn't just the quiet one anymore. I was the one they never saw coming. The one who rose.